Welcome back. This is Mr. Sullivan, and I just want to let you know we're talking today about simplifying ratios. Normally, I'd have some cool graphic here or, funny graphic, but since it was simple, I wanted to keep it simple, and nothing's more simple than black and white right here. So let's get right to it, simplifying ratios. So this is something that you've all should have seen in the past. We're going to go through it. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways. Or I'm going to show you one way with varying degrees of that, I should say. So the first thing I want to talk about is to simplify a fraction. We need to take out factors that are the same. So what factor goes into 15 and also goes to 35? That's a 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 5. Now, why am I allowed to divide the top and the bottom by 5? Because really I'm dividing by 1, because 5 divided by 5 is 1. And no matter whatever number you have, if you divide it by 1, it doesn't change it. So I'm not actually changing it here. I'm just simplifying it. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. 35 divided by 5 is 7. And voila, we are done. Just that simple. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, of course, sometimes they're going to be a little bit harder than that, right? All right, so we have here example number 2, and we have a couple of different ways to do this one. I'm going to call this first method, the Brus method. And the reason I'm going to call it the Brus method is because it's slow and steady, but it'll get you there. All right, it works. It works just fine. All right, so the first thing I'm looking for is a number that goes into both, a common factor, if you will. So I know they both are even, so I'm going to divide both of these by 2. Okay, so I'm going to divide by 2. 24 divided by 2 is 12. 40 divided by 2 is 20. All right. Now, I have to say to myself, is there any common factor still? Because I want to reduce it all the way. There's another 2, so I'm going to divide by 2 again. Now I have 12 divided by 2 is 6. 20 divided by 2 is 10. I have to ask myself one more time, is there any other common factor outside of the number 1, because 1 doesn't change anything, that I can divide here? Well, I can divide by 2 again. All right. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. Here, there's nothing else I can divide by, so the answer is 3/5. So I've reduced 24 over 40 to 3/5. Now, it was a little bit long, arduous process. It took us some time. It was a little slow, but it's efficient, just like Mr. Brust. He gets the job done. All right. Now, the next method I'm going to call the flash. The flash, all right, the flash likes to get things done right away, right the first time, speedy, as fast as he can, all right? And the great thing about the flash is it's the same process, but instead of just picking any number that you know goes into it, you're picking the number you know is the greatest multiple they have in common. So, for example, between 24 and 40, I know that 8 goes into both. All right, so 24 divided by 8 is 3. 40 divided by 8 is 5. A little bit faster, but we get the same answer. Does not matter which way you choose it, all right? In fact, you could have chosen another number. You could have done 24 divided by 4, right? 4 goes into both at first as well. All right, so I'd like you to pause the video right here, and I want you to try this both ways. Try the Brus method. In other words, do as many steps as possible, and then try the flash method. See if you can find that one number that divides immediately. All right, over here, the Brus method, I started dividing by 2. I knew they're both even. I got to 9 over 21. Then I divided by 3, and I got 3 over 7. Over here, I knew that 6 went into 18 and 42 both to start, so I divided by 6. Get right to 3 over 7. All right, so that's simplifying or reducing ratios and fractions. All right, let's talk about mixed numbers to improper fractions. Mixed numbers are great because they tell you exactly how many whole parts you have. All right, improper fractions, you don't know how many whole parts necessarily, just looking at it you have. But improper fractions are so much nicer to work with, mathematically speaking, all right? So we need to know how to change mixed numbers to improper fractions. I'm sure you've done this before. This should be review. So I'm going to take the bottom number. I am going to multiply it by the side number. So that's 15. Then I'm going to take that number and add the numerator. 15 plus 2. what do? We keep the denominator. 15 plus 2 is 17 over 5. That is how we change mixed numbers to improper fractions. Remember, improper fraction means the numerator is bigger than the denominator. Sounds like it's wrong, but it's okay. We can use improper fractions, no problem. All right, let's try this one. I'm going to multiply, so that's 8. Then I'm going to add the numerator, and it's going to be over my denominator of 4. So 8 plus 3 is 11 over 4. All right, pause the video and you try this one. All right, I got 27 over 7. Let's see what I did. 7 times 3 is 21. Then I add the numerator of 6. That's 27 over 7. Okay, last thing we're going to learn today, and this is not even learning really. I mean, don't tell your teacher. This is just a trick. Okay. All right, so we're going to change a fraction to an equivalent or approximate decimal, okay? So just so you know, everything in here, we're going to talk about rounding to the nearest hundredth. That, again, is two place values, right? All right, so changing from a fraction to a decimal, it's very easy. This is a fraction bar, and everyone hates fractions. Let's just agree. I mean, some people love them. I don't mind them, but a lot of us really don't like them. But it's also a division bar, and I think once we started seeing this as a division bar, things get a little bit better. So I'm going to bring out my handy-dandy calculator. I'm going to let this calculator do the heavy lifting like Mr. Bruss does, and I'm going to just divide. 14 divided by 20. 14 divided by 20. You can use any calculator you want, really. And I got 0.7. So the equivalent fraction for 14 divided by 20 is 0.7. So you could write 0.7 if you want. You could just write 0.7. Just depends. Some teachers have a preference. They like that 0.7. Some don't. I don't really care. I think it's nicer to write 0.7. I think that looks better. But I'll be honest, I write this more. So it's up to you. All right, let's do 8 over 9. 8 over 9. 8 divided by 9. All right, now let's talk about this. It says 0.8888889. So the first thing we need to understand is, really, this is just 0.8 forever, right? This last spot here on this calculator, it rounded it. It's from an 8 to a 9. It doesn't actually change it. This is a repeating decimal. It's always 0.88. It always repeats with that 8, okay? So when I write this, I'm going to write 0.8, and if it repeats, I'm going to write it as a repeating decimal like that, 0.8, okay? If it was 0.14141414, I would just write 0.14 forever, okay? If that repeating part goes longer than 2 places right now, because we're rounding the nearest hundredth, you'll just round it, okay? And I'm going to show you the next one. 5 divided by 7. 5 divided by 7. Enter. Now, most of you are going to say, that's not a repeating decimal, but watch. 714. 714. This is 285, but look, that 2 was rounded. It actually is 714285. That repeats. All right, but since I'm rounding the nearest hundredth, I'm only going to use the first 2 decimals. So does that 4 round that one up? No, it stays in its place, so it's 0.71. So rounded, this is going to be 0.71. All right. What if we had this? Ooh, this is a good one. 0.833333. How would I write that nearest hundredth? 0.083, and the bar goes over just the part that is repeating, the 3. Alrighty, so I think you're ready. Pause the video, try this one. First of all, make it an improper fraction, then simplify it, then put in your calculator and make it an equivalent decimal. All right, let's take a look. I multiplied 36 times 1, I got 36. I added the numerator 12, I got 48 over 36 for my improper fraction. To reduce, I actually didn't, I didn't do the slowest possible way, but I did more of a Bruss method here. I did it twice. I knew that they both went in divided by 4, so I started by dividing by 4. You could have divided by 2. You could have started off and done the flash method and divided by 12. So I divide by 4, I got 12 over 9. Then I divided by 3, and I got 4 over 3. When I put that on my calculator, I got 1.3333333. And to write that as a repeating decimal, 1.3 with the bar over it. I know we're doing hundredths, and if your teacher prefers you to write it like this because it says round the nearest hundredth, that's fine. But to be completely honest, this is really how we write it when we have repeating decimals. 1.3, the very first thing that repeats like that. Okay? All right. Hey, great job today. Have a great year. Really excited for you guys this year. Go out, do your best every day, and be kind to each other.